Hello. Welcome to the Friday film, Chelmsford Baptist Church, and our guest stars today. Yeah, you are. Molly here, and there.
You can if you want.
Someone at Rosie's over there. We've edited her out. So we're in the middle of Woke Month here at Chelmsford Baptist Church. What's Woke Month, you might say? Well, look it up, because I've probably explained it in a previous film, so I don't want to explain it again. But was it last Sunday? It was last Sunday, wasn't it?
Just go on, yeah.
What? Hey?
Just go on.
Just go on, yeah. Anyway, we were looking at LGBTQIA+. Now, I noticed the guy that came along, Graham Conway-Dill, very nice, he just said LGBT+. And I keep adding the letters in, thinking this is... does it matter?
No.
Should it matter? What shall I do? What can I do? I don't know. Sorry?
It
probably would if you were QIA.
Yeah.
Yes.
To us, it probably doesn't
But the
matter.
LGBT Centre only call themselves LGBT+.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think it's because it's understood.
Yes, it is about understanding, isn't it? And not being an idiot.
Mm.
Anyway, more of that later.
Why did you look at me?
We're all looking at each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've asked Molly and Anne to come along to talk about their experiences of church and faith, particularly from their perspectives. And that's kind of the only warning we've given you, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't got a set of questions. So we thought it'd be good, because we did discuss this bit, to talk about how you came to be involved with Chelmsford Baptist Church.
Yeah.
That'll probably be a good place to start, and then we'll just see where it takes us.
Sounds like a
Who wants to go
Can
first?
I go first? Want me to go first?
You go first.
I don't mind.
I'll go first. So we joined the church just after we got married. So we were the first. But rewind all the way back is we were talking about getting married. Obviously, I went to school with Esther, Neil's daughter, and we were really good friends through sort of college, and then really good friends on after. And I've always said I'd want nobody else to marry but Neil. And I said that to Ro when we first got engaged, and we went round.
What was her response, incidentally?
She went, "That's fine."
Oh, okay.
He's all right.
She wasn't like...
I said who's Neil first.
And we popped round to their house and we said, "Oh, will you marry us?" And he went, "Yeah." And that was it then for us. We sort of had no idea about what was going on behind the scenes. And afterwards, we found out that actually it was quite a lot of work.
There's a lot of paperwork involved.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork.
But it's not your fault.
No, I know that, but we just had no idea. We were planning our wedding, having a great time, and actually Neil was doing a lot of work for us, which was lovely.
I am quite heroic.
Yeah, definitely. And we had no idea until Esther came to stay the once. And I was driving along and she was sat in the back seat. And you know when you can tell somebody wants to say something? And I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And she went, "The church are voting on you two tomorrow." And I said, "Oh, lovely." Thankfully, they said yes, which was great. And we got married. There was a bit more drama in between, but we'll skip over that.
They weren't voting on you specifically. It's a legality. I'll just explain
Just us two.
this. The legality is about being registered for marriages. So we weren't registered for same-sex marriages at that point. So you had to... It's just like you can't just get married anywhere. You have to get married.
Yeah.
And because the law had changed, we had to register for marriage. And the joy of it now is we're now registered for marriage. You don't have to say same-sex marriage or heterosexual marriage. It's just marriage.
Just
now.
marriage.
So that's quite nice. Anyway, carry on. That was a very boring piece of bureaucratic information. Hope you liked it.
Yeah, so we got married. It was lovely. We had a great day. We met Anne for the first time.
Oh, yes.
A day before our wedding. Had a great time. We moved home about 4 weeks later, and we've been coming to church periodically ever since. But yeah, and I think we came home because we were missing that sense of community and sort of that ability to be loved by everybody around us. We were living in Plymouth, so we had friends, and I think Ro found it more difficult coming home than I did. Obviously my family's from here, but we just needed that sense of community and that sense of somebody to lean on. in times that might have been a little bit difficult, but we've definitely sort of found it in the church family. We've got some
nice.
besties now. But yeah, that's sort of our story.
Yeah.
But
Okay. I like it.
yeah, it's been lovely.
End up in the same place by different routes, basically.
Yeah.
You know, mine was slightly different. It was really through the ukulele band, wasn't it?
Really, see, good can come of such a
playing
thing.
ukulele, and lockdown, which is, you know, the disaster of lockdown, which is quite interesting, because it was Helen who got in touch with us to see if we were okay. That's Pam and I, and said, "Do you realise that if you're feeling isolated, because we're kind of almost a microcosm of you, because we're in a city which is 150 miles away from our families. Mine in Somerset, Pam's were in Sussex. And so we didn't have any contact easily with anybody apart from one friend who we were supporting. And so Helen said there's a service on Zoom every Sunday if you want to feel part of a group. So that's how it started, really. And the incredible friendliness, kindness, and all-embracing reaction on the Zoom on a Sunday really kind of got us feeling, you know, part of something again. Unfortunately, as we know, Pam was not well when we were able to start coming out of lockdown. But we did manage to get to church a few times before she was too ill to come. And that really was the start for me, and just the whole thing about the church and the kindness and the thing that you've touched on, the sort of feeling part of that huge family, the acceptance, everything about the church, because I'd been brought up C of E, and we hadn't really been part of a church for many, nearly 40 years, well, more than 40 years, what am I saying?
Why not? I'm not telling you off. It's a genuine. Well, I sort of know the answer, which is why I'm asking you.
Well, that's the interesting bit, because we actually met at a C of E college. I mean, that wasn't deliberate. It's the only place I could get into. No, I didn't say that. No, there were extenuating reasons why I went to a C of E college. But obviously, when we met, we know the attitude of Church of England, and probably every church at that time, because I'm talking about the 70s. So for us, it was a kind of, I think it was the hypocrisy of it. We could not bring ourselves to do something that we knew we were hiding anyway, and our life was a lifetime of hiding because of the situation in those days if you were gay. So we were already hiding. We didn't want to have to go and be hypocritical, and we kind of decided that actually God probably isn't judging us, and actually that's the most important thing. Our belief didn't change, but the fact that we couldn't practice our faith, well, we felt we couldn't.
And you probably couldn't, to be honest. Yeah.
Not to be ourselves, if anything, it'd been, you know, whatever. So we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to be part of anything. Well, also we didn't want to be part of anything which basically despised us. Thought we were the lowest of the low sinners, and we were going to hell anyway. So basically, it was a great moment to be able to belong to a church. But didn't feel like that.
Well, it's been a joy, I think, all of you becoming part of the story here. I mean, we won't go into the biblical study. I mean, there's lots of other places you can research that, and as a church, we've looked at that kind of stuff. And very often, people that will start throwing Bible verses at you, they don't really want to discuss it anyway. They just want you to agree with them. So we won't. I'm fascinated by, well, several things. I think from the church point of view, you all coming along at the different points has been extremely timely for us, because it was time for us, I think, to move up a gear in terms of our church journey, because the church has always been pretty open and accepting of people of all sort of types and backgrounds and everything. But given the conversations going on in the wider church, I think it was time for us to do it. It's very hard. I'd resisted having a conversation about same-sex marriage in the church, because I didn't want it to be a theoretical, you know, if someone came along, what's our sort of cold, objective view of that? Because some churches have taken that line, which is fair enough, But for us and the way that we operate, that's not how we operate, and it's about people. And people, this, I don't know whether this is theologically sound, people are more important than principles, I think.
Mm.
So when you came along at the different points, you made us as a church go, do we have a problem with this? And to my immense joy, 96% of the church, just doing the maths there, 96% of the church says, there isn't a problem here, why are we having to discuss this?
Yeah.
And that's highly unusual for a church. But it was a great joy just to have that. So we had the conversation out to make sure that voices could be heard, because despite the majority's views, we still felt it's important everyone's voices is heard, even if we would regard them as homophobic. Say it, and we'd rather they said it, because we're a community and we don't want people muttering in the background. Say it, and we'll see how that goes. So I think it was divinely ordained that you came along at this, because you could theoretically could have come along at any point, but you appeared at this point in our journey and in the story of the wider church, the conversations they're having there.
And it's a shame that Molly and Rosie weren't privy, because unfortunately I was at that voting day, and it was incredible, the strength of feeling and support and love.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't be surprised knowing people, but just listening to them, it was wonderful. I mean, I was very, very happy that I was actually there to be part of that and to hear that people who had embraced me and had welcomed me and had been kind to a few occasions they'd seen Pam, but were actually putting their money absolutely where their mouth. They were very supportive, and the anecdotal and all of their reaction was so incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
You know, it really has changed. I mean, I said yesterday there are two places I feel I'm myself, and it's here, and it's at the LGBTQ Centre.
And that's tremendously. I don't know what the word is because you missed that meeting. Because I found that very moving. I don't know what I did that part. I found that really moving, because you think the church is the last place people often find acceptance, and I know that if you look across all the churches, and the Baptist Union, they hugely disappointed us as a church this year in the decision they took, and we've let them know, and we are still in the union with them, but that's partly because we think time will sort this out, and also we stand in that union of Baptist churches saying, we think it's not that we disagree, we actually do think they're wrong.
But you can do more by being part.
Yes.
When you come from looking in.
And I think it's changed a lot over the sort of last year and a half. I know they made that decision, and we as a church didn't agree. Well, like you said, we think they're wrong. But when we went to give notice, there was a very small list of Baptist churches on the list for them to search through. Obviously Chelmsford wasn't there at the time because the paperwork was still going through, and she looked at this list like it was 10 pages long, but it's now doubled since when we got married, so we're moving in the right direction, I think. And I think people are afraid to have those conversations, and you'd come in on a Sunday to any other church and you wouldn't fathom them having conversations the way that we do, and it is something like we've never experienced anything like it before, and you've got people of all generations, and there is like the population at Chelmsford Baptist Church is twofold. So there's the younger ones, there's the older ones, you've got the little ones that come in for Acorns. Like, it's so broad, but everybody will just sit and have a conversation. You come in on a Sunday and the old ladies are like, "Oh, hello girls, have you had a lovely week?" And you're like, "Yeah." One of Betty makes sure to check I've got my wedding ring on, like, and then you pop up to the table and you've got little Rachel, and she will chat with you and she'll ask you how you were, and you'll sit and you'll colour, and the service is going on, and it is just absolutely okay to just be whatever you want to be. You'd go to another church and they'd shush the children running round, or they wouldn't extend the help out to people that need it, or if you can't get here on a Sunday, then that's your problem. But it has never ever been like that. Like, we drop in and out every so often, whether we're busy or we've got commitments on a Sunday outside of church, but you come back on the week after and it's like you've never left.
Yeah. And I think that's partly why the church found the conversation easier, because they understand community, and community is diverse. There's a lot of risk, because a lot of churches, a lot of organisations and societies are built on uniformity, aren't they? So you can be a part of this if you're the same and if you fit in. So when people come in that don't fit that mould, whatever it might be, you have to kick them out. You can't let them in because they're a risk. And I think that's some of the conversations I've seen going in churches. There's a risk because they think they will lose people if they make a move in either direction. But I think it's tough luck. You know, this is what God is doing. There's a move in society. There's a greater understanding of how human beings work, and you can't say, "Well, we're not having that," because look at it. And that's one of my many frustrations, I think, with the church, is that they're clinging on to this sort of 19th century perception, and you think, look at what's happening around you. I mean, it's happened around, But women has been the same. When I was younger, they were still, some churches still are saying, well, should women be preaching? It's like, what?
Yeah.
And this is exactly the same conversation. And I would hope when you're my age, which is a long way off, you'll be saying, what? Why was that even a thing? Which is your generation are more like that. Why is this a thing? And my generation and up, we're like, well, it is.
It's just crazy because you have churches be like, why won't people come and join us? I'm like, because you're still stuck in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're going to have to leave it there because I've got a bit bored and I've wandered off to the bar. No offence, Molly and Rosie and Anne. Anyway, so we've broken it into two halves, partly because it got interesting. Well, it was interesting before, but it gets interesting, so we've put it into two halves. So we'll be back next time and we'll talk a bit more about inclusion, and we'll talk about how some people in our society have to apologise just for being who they are. So hopefully we'll see you next time. Goodbye.